Hey guys, welcome to Connect with Katie. I'm so glad that you can join me. I just wanted to let you know the program that I use for my awesome podcast. It's called Anchor. This program is free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone and your computer. Also, will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Also, you can make money with no minimum listenership. Best thing is everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to KT Talk Show. This is your host, KT. It is a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. It is sunny and 70 here in Michigan. My guest today is Gabriel, aka Just Prince. He is joining us today from New York. He was born and raised in Harlem. He is a teacher in NYC, and he has worked with youth and in youth development for over 10 years. And he has just launched the Balance Effect podcast, which is promoting entrepreneurship. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us more about you and how you got into all this.
Well, first and foremost, I wanted to say thank you, Katie, for allowing me to come on your platform and be able to have this great conversation. Like I said, my name is
Yeah.
Gabriel Medina. My handle is Just Prince on Instagram, and I've been like I said, I've been working with youth development for over 10 years. My alma mater, City College. I got my bachelor's there. Um, and I've been doing this for a while, and kind of what clicked to me during this whole pandemic thing was a way where I could be able to just better myself and better my situation and empower other people to do the same thing. So I decided to launch the Balance Effect because I felt like we needed to inform people and inform the youth and inform the other 90% of America that's living under that makes under $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
How we can get out the hamster wheel, right, and get out of that
Yes.
9 to 5 mentality. Because I went to school. I grew up in a Dominican household. My mother, my grandmother, my aunt, they all told me to go to school. I did that. I worked with the youth. I did a whole bunch of stuff like that. But then it's like after school, what do I do? I did that. Now I have a whole bunch of loans. I have a whole bunch of stuff that I'm doing that I have to pay for. But now I'm a teacher and I make 65 grand, but I have over $100,000 in debt. How am I
Yeah.
supposed to how am I supposed to wing that and then one day have a family and have something of my own, right? So what
Yeah.
happens is that you tend to not, there's really no exit plan or no contingency plan for when things fail. You know what I'm saying? I want people to not be conformists and actually go for their dreams, right? I don't want to have something to
Yes.
fall back on. I want to fall forward because it just takes that one time to get that big break. And a lot of times people, certain individuals don't have that stick to itiveness or that perseverance to, see things through. So, I just want to promote that.
Yeah.
And ideally, not everyone's going to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone's going to have their own business. Not everyone's going to follow suit with what I'm trying to promote, which is fine because ideally the market's not going to want or not going to be able to handle 100 million entrepreneurs. But if I can
Yeah.
influence, maybe 30, 40 people to,
Yeah.
do it, I think that's what my life work would be. That would be the highlight of my life at this point.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's amazing. Are you still a teacher right now? Are you like going back in the fall, or are you focusing more on, do the entrepreneur, the podcast?
Hmm.
What are you focusing on?
Well, I'm kind of focusing on, so first and foremost, I'm still employed by the New York City Public Department of Education, but
Okay.
what's kind of, I don't know if you've seen the Newsweek article about the kid with the hazmat suit on and the guard and the shear and stuff like that. Basically, showing like the flawed plan that the mayor and the chancellor of schools of New York have presented to, not only have
Mhm.
presented to the general public. They're basically showing something like 2 days, 2 or 3 days in school, and then 2 or 3 days remote, right? But then they're not
Yeah.
factoring in like the possibility of you know someone getting infected, or the spread of infection, of people that are going to be exposed to diseases. Remember, there's different things, like the children have
Yeah.
supposedly a different how do you say it, have a different it's like a different virus, a different strand of the virus, of the coronavirus. So like it's something that we haven't really experienced in the general population. It's just really towards kids. So now you have 10 kids in a room, 15 kids in a room. Like idealistically, that's not going to be something that can be prevented, right? It's going to be very hard to,
Mhm.
So I'm very weird for that. So, I'm expecting hopefully some type of legislation or some, you know, plan that'll, ensure the safety of not only myself, but my colleagues and the students, you know.
Right.
But,
Yeah. No.
I'm focusing on both though, to answer your question.
No, yeah, that's good. I was just curious because you're the first teacher that I've actually talked to. Obviously I get emails and stuff from my daughter's school, but I don't
Mhm.
really know, the nitty-gritty in the background, like how you guys are feeling, or, you know, are you excited, like you're just kind of in the middle, like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like it's up in the air, but it definitely is like what comes to mind to me is like we've been cooped up in the house for so long, and there's a lot of science that backs up that when you've been away like from the outside world, and you've been away from people, and you've not been exposed to certain germs, your immune system actually like decreases and it goes down. So when you are back exposed to all those people, you actually are more susceptible to other sicknesses.
Got you.
So that, you know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
I don't want to necessarily always believe that. And I'm not somebody that's like, oh, I just believe this or just believe that. But it's just interesting to see, your perspective on it coming from, like from a parent,
Mhm.
where parents are like, hell no, I'm not putting my kid back in school. There's no way I'm having my kid wear a mask,
Mhm.
to do that. They shouldn't even have to wear one, or where, you have teachers where like, I don't even want to go back because, I don't know what's going to happen. It could get worse, so,
Got you.
um, yeah,
So
yeah.
no, no, no. So like, so how do I feel? I feel the people that I'm really most, concerned about are the children, because I felt like this plan of moving 1.9, almost 2 million children from direct in school day to day learning to remote was
Mm-hmm.
a failure, right? I
Oh,
felt
well, yeah.
it was a big failure because there really wasn't any accountability, and it wasn't structured, right? It wasn't
Yeah,
structured in
definitely.
a way where it's kind of put most of the responsibility on the parents to
100%.
to teach the children. While I do agree that parents should play a major role in the enrichment and the nurturing and the education of their child, right? I think it
Yeah.
shouldn't solely be put on the parent, and I felt like that's kind of what happened. Um, we really did. I felt like, especially in New York, they dropped the ball a lot of the times with that. And then what also
Mm-hmm.
it kind of showed like the outlier, the like the thorn in the side of it was kind of like the disparity, and how you saw the people that did have and the people that didn't have, right? In terms of
Mm-hmm.
technology, in terms
Right.
of stable housing, in terms of food,
Yep.
right? So it was all these
Mm-hmm.
different things, all these different outliers that kind of contributed to, you know, online learning not being successful. There wasn't any accountability. The children, basically, we were doing attendance by having the child at least log in, right? We weren't asking really for much work, right? So
Yep.
there really wasn't accountability, because guess what? Who was going to be held accountable? We can make calls, we can do what we can.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe possibly we'll call child services, because after a certain amount of time it's deemed as neglect. but there's not really much that we can do because at the end of the day, it's the child that's suffering. So I feel like the ball was
Yeah.
dropped immensely when it came to that aspect. That's who I
Mhm.
was really concerned for. The parents, I definitely understand that, parents have shown a deeper respect for the teacher now. To see
Oh
that,
yeah.
to,
Definitely.
to see that what we kind of go through, on a day in,
Yeah.
day out basis, um, and kind of understand the struggles that we go through with some of these children.
Yeah.
I definitely see that. I've seen a deeper understanding of, what a teacher has to kind of go through for the parents. So I definitely see a changing of the guard and being able to turn key when it comes to, communication between the home and the school. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just feel that, you know our kids are not being put at the forefront when it comes to the reopening of these schools, because at the end of the day, like, people can't even go dine in and be in a group to eat, and that's a paying establishment, right? But
Right.
you want children to go in and be in school with their peers, and you know it be okay, and all it
Mhm.
really is like, a money thing, right? They want people to go back to work, to drive the economy back into where it was before, and that's not something that's ideal right now at this present time,
No.
because they're talking about,
Definitely not.
yep, they're talking about trials of vaccinations and all that stuff, but guess what?
Mhm.
They're not gonna have anything till November, you know.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand how would you go about it. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they're playing
That
straws.
Yeah. No, I mean, we could definitely go. I mean, that whole thing is like really so controversial. You know what I mean? Just like when like you were just saying, there's a paying establishment and you can't even have a group of people go and sit down and eat together like a big family. You
Mhm.
can't even have a family reunion at a restaurant, but yet, you know what I mean? But yet we're gonna put these kids back in school. It's just like what's going on here? Just
Right.
doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
Just does not make sense. Um, so kind of to flip it on a more positive note
Mhm.
about how about this? What excites you the most right now? Like at this point in time in your life, what excites you the most?
Well, I would definitely have to say, creating a platform to, promote not only myself but promote and highlight other, people of color that are in uh in business and are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
It's predominantly in New York and in the urban community. I feel like that's kind of what excites me. Like, I'm excited to have these conversations, and educate people in an entertaining way on how to be
Yeah.
successful. You know what I mean? How to, you know, change their way of thinking, and being able to be open minded when it comes to other things. Because one thing is that, we all like comfortability, right? We all like, um,
100%.
we all like to be comfortable. But the thing about it is that the hardest and the truest change comes into play when you're in the most uncomfortable and vulnerable situations and positions. You know what I'm saying? And you
Yep.
need to understand that the only way that you're able to advance is by being okay with being uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
if you would have spoken to me maybe a year ago, and said, "Oh, I was
Yeah.
gonna go on Instagram Live and I was gonna go on, all these different platforms and speak," I would have been
Yeah.
like, "You're crazy," because that's
Yeah.
not me. I'm more of a intellect. I like to speak to people that are, you know, um around me, and people that know me, and I always like to share ideas and stuff like that. But as far as like to the
Yeah.
general public to be critiqued, no, that's not me, right? So I had to
Mhm.
understand that the only way for me to get out of, my comfort zone was to become uncomfortable. So I started with just, going on Instagram Live and highlighting different people on what they were doing in their respective fields of business, and how did they make it, and what are they doing, and how has, this pandemic and this sort of pause changed, or helped, or maybe hindered, their situation, and how they find their way to, get themselves back up, or how they continue to pursue and persevere, stuff like that. So, it worked out well, and to the point that I was
Yeah.
able to, not be afraid to speak in public. You know what I mean? I've never. I mean, when I was in school, I remember in college we had to take a public speaking class and stuff like that. So I remember I hated the class. I think I got a C in the class because I really didn't like it. It was completely out of my comfort zone. But when people speak,
Mhm.
they'd be like, "Wow, I didn't know you knew all this stuff. I didn't know that you were so um into all these different things." And but it's like you would have to get to know me to understand that. And obviously, there's always going to be a
Yeah.
part of me that's always going to be private. Obviously, a major part of me is always going to be private. But when it comes to what I'm
Yep.
doing, that's like probably the most exciting thing. I have so much stuff that I'm launching. I'm almost done with the recording of my studio. I mean, the construction of my studio is almost finished. I'm going. I have two co-hosts that be on the journey with me. I have some guests that some really, really, really cool, dope, and fun guests that'll be there that I'll be interviewing, having some deep discussions about entrepreneurship and life and stuff like that in general. Because the theme of my podcast is entrepreneurship, but it's mostly about life. It's a balance effect.
Yep.
It's a balance in life. Everything in life needs to have balance. So, that's just what we're gonna be talking about. I also have a website that's gonna be launching that's gonna give you updates, and it's also gonna be selling merch. I have some shirts that will be coming out, some hoodies, hats, and stuff like that. And then I'm going to be launching in 2.5 weeks, both sonically and visually. So I'll be on YouTube as well, so you
Mhm.
can kind of see us in action and see my finished product with the construction of the studio. I'm actually doing it myself, so that's why it's taking a little longer than usual. I'm not paying anybody. I'm doing it myself.
Yeah.
I'm a homeowner, so I'm very handy
Yeah.
with things.
Yeah, well, you have really you're the true definition of like utilizing this time to really turn around like the skills that you have and just using
Mhm.
all of them and implementing everything because I think that's like so like fucking awesome. Like excuse my language, but
Mhm.
like seriously because that is exactly what, the kind of the same path that I've been on, I'm utilizing all this time to use everything that I have and give value back to the community and
Mhm.
and be able to inspire other people and motivate other people. So I mean, I think it like that's amazing and like yeah, like good for you. Like that's really really awesome. Like seriously.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So tell me, you've already had some guests on your show. Can you tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about those guests you have on there and what they've had to say about on you don't have to tell everything, but just kind of who they
Okay.
are and some tips that they have given.
Okay. So I've actually I pre-launched the podcast on Instagram Live. So I was doing lives with people during like the height of the COVID pandemic, the height of, at least in New York, right? Because
Yeah.
for a time we were the epicenter of it in the United States. So during that time I utilized that time to kind of pre-launch the podcast on IG Live. So I had a friend of mine. She's actually my sister-in-law. She's a digital marketer and influencer on Instagram. Her name is Dukesbaum. She sells products, and she does like mom blogging and stuff like that with my
Yeah.
nephews and my brother. So I had her talk about how to become an influencer and how it's helped her out. So people that wanted to go that route, certain steps that they want to make and create and become influencers, right? And how you can,
Yeah.
amass a following and a brand and build a brand through, marketing yourself on Instagram. I had a friend of mine, Francisco Rojas. He's a realtor, and he also owns a real estate investment firm in Harlem, called
Yeah.
Area NYC. He owns the Harlem branch, and he's been we were talking to me about the new renting laws, and the importance of credit, and how to build
Yeah.
wealth, and how to invest properly in real estate, and how in real estate you can build a cash flow. I don't know if you're big, if you're in tune with like Grant Cardone or any of those big real estate guys that you see on
Oh
Instagram.
yeah,
But you know,
definitely.
I'm a Cardone guy, man. I believe in
Yeah,
not putting my money in the bank. I believe in having a steady cash flow. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And residual income, because the thing about it is that we need to understand that banks are not they're not banking institutions, they're lending
Nope.
institutions. They're there to make money,
Yep.
right? So
Yes.
yes, you can have your money in the bank, but understand that you're not sitting your money in the bank is never going to make your money work for you. Most of the people that own real estate in this country and all over the world are hedge funds and banks. So,
Mhm.
that's kind of the stuff that we were talking about. I had a few fitness people on there that they've been, talking about how they transferred their in person training sessions to a completely online fitness business, and how they've kind of been persevering through this pandemic. You know what I mean? They've actually
Yeah.
switched they've actually making more money doing, online training virtually
Yes.
than actually having to put the time in and work 15 hours a day training people, you
Yep.
know,
Mhm.
because they're able to optimize their income doing that. I had another podcast on there. He's actually a friend of mine. His podcast is called Live from the Bronx, and we talked about certain gentrification and certain things that are plaguing the Bronx, and they're
Mhm.
in a lot of parts of New York City. They're gentrifying these neighborhoods, but they're what which is fine. But at the end of the day, they're not the difference between gentrification and revitalization is that gentrification is made for people that are not from the community to come in that make more than the people that live in that community. So it's basically
Mhm.
meant to kick the long-standing residents out of those neighborhoods. So the
Yeah.
the fact of the matter, what made those neighborhoods so attractive were the people that lived there and the businesses and the things that they did over there, right? So we were talking
Yeah.
about that. I also had he has a pretty good following. It's the Roommates podcast. Um, it's Hafiz and Chris. They're from Atlanta, and we were talking about entrepreneurship, and we were talking about building a brand and a podcast, and how to do that. And yeah, that's pretty much kind of rounds up about all the
Yeah.
people. I did have one more person. He's actually a friend of my family. He started a marijuana dispensary, and he has his own business here in New York that caters to
Nice.
marijuana accessories and different things that gives some marijuana. It's not legal here, so he doesn't have his dispensary out
Okay.
here. But like like
Mhm.
ashtrays and bongs and
Yeah.
rolling
Yeah.
paper and stuff like that. So he it's called his name is Vladimir Batista. He's his company's called Happy Monkeys. So it's kind of funny because their logo is a monkey getting high,
I like that. Nice.
and
I'm
he was
gonna
actually featured on Forbes.
Oh, was he really? That's
Yeah, he was featured on
awesome.
Forbes. Happy Monkey. If you look it up, it's
Yeah.
HAPPYMUNKEY. Yeah, he was featured. Vlad Batista, Happy Monkey. They were on Forbes. You know, and
That's dope.
revolutionizing marijuana. Mhm.
Wow. I love seeing stuff like that. When you always hear like, "Hey, yeah, I know that guy who's on Forbes."
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so cool.
He's pretty big.
Yeah. Well, that's cool that you've had some really cool people on your
Mhm.
show, and I've just been looking into real estate, so I might have to get
Mhm.
some tips from you on that because I'm
Sure.
just learning. So,
Sure.
and I definitely know that's a good thing. I do the stocks and investing, and I've definitely been getting really good at that. But the
Mhm.
the whole real estate thing, I feel like if I'm good at investing, I should be good at real estate, right?
Well, I mean, it's
Maybe.
a different ball. It maybe the only thing is that real estate is a lot less volatile than the stock market.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
I
I
was
don't know
just
if you
joking
I mean
anyway.
no, it's so good. I get it. I was saying that I don't know if you got a chance to check the stocks recently or in the last week or so, but I heard something about Kodak stocks rate going up like like some crazy number, like 14,000% or something like that. I don't quote
Mm-hmm.
me on this, but it was basically stating that if you had invested $10,000 in Kodak stock, you would be a multi-millionaire right now, because of
Damn.
how much the stock price have rose.
Mm-hmm.
I think it went from like $14 to like well over $200, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, the
But
stock market has definitely been going up. I mean, I do
mhm.
the crypto, and
You got
that's
to.
yeah, yeah. So
Crypto's
it's fun
crypto's
though.
good. It's untraceable, so you're good.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. That's the whole point. No, I'm joking.
Mhm.
Um, all right, so I have two more questions for you and then we can wrap
Mhm.
it up. So
Got
the first one is what are some common myths about entrepreneurship that you think people the common population believes in, but we shouldn't believe in it?
you. Common myths. I think that people believe that entrepreneurs are these people that that have different investments in different things and they make money, when that's not the truth, right? So some of it can be true,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
But all you really need is to
Yeah.
make money in one thing, and then you can invest in other things, and then that's an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I feel that
Yes.
the people are so afraid, because first of all, entrepreneurs are people that are risk takers, right? They rather
Yep.
risk
Mm-hmm.
high risk, high reward, right? So
100%.
idealistically, like I was telling you earlier, idealistically, when I was telling you earlier, most people don't are not risk takers, right? They like conformity,
Mm-hmm.
comfortability. They like the sure paycheck every 2 weeks, you know what I mean, or every week, however you get paid, But at the end of the day, there's a glass ceiling to that, right? So
Yep.
it's like, one thing, especially, this is crazy that I started to do this at this time, because historically speaking, rich people get richer in pandemics, right? Because there's
Yes.
always a void, right, in the market, and entrepreneurs fill them, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's a void somewhere that needs to be filled, right? Now, one void that I tell people that probably needs to be filled are digital marketers, right? Because long gone are magazines, articles, newspaper clippings, um, TV ads, right? People don't watch
Yes.
TV anymore. People
Nope.
necessarily don't watch TV anymore. We're not glued to the TV screen. So paying $1 million for you to be on a Super Bowl ad is highly unrealistic, and it's bullcrap to put your money into that, right?
Yeah.
So now, you have different forms of that, right? So one place that people get a lot of their stuff from is social media. So now you have
Yes.
Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter paying, having ways for people to pay to get stuff out there, to promote, to add, to get
Mm-hmm.
more impressions, right? That's what they talk about, right? And the
Yep.
algorithm switches and all that stuff. So now the next frontier is podcasting, right? That's the next big
Yep.
frontier, where now you're able to partner up with these companies that'll pay you fractions on the
Mm-hmm.
dollar, right? To
Yep.
feature their product on your podcast, depending on
Mm-hmm.
how many downloads and how many people really listen to you. Because now it's like, people don't listen to the radio anymore. People don't listen
No.
to watch TV. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No.
they'd rather get a Fire Stick. Like yesterday, I was literally canceling my cable, because I'm like, I'm
Yep.
paying $350 for
For
crappy
nothing.
internet, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't even watch half of these channels that you guys provide me. But so I'm like, I'm cutting it.
Yep.
So I was like, it's crazy, but it's that's just a new way. That's a new thing, right? If
Yep.
you're able to open a podcast, if you're able to use your podcast wisely, and build an audience, and build a brand, right? Because that's
Yep.
one thing that I was saying. It's all about building a brand, and then you can use a podcast to funnel it however
100%.
you want. I kind of did it backwards. I did the podcast, and now I'm starting
So did
it.
I. Yep.
but
Same here.
but but at the end of the day, it's cool, right? Because you have
Yeah.
different things, you have different things you can utilize. But it's all about looking for that void to fill as an entrepreneur. So I need people to
Mhm.
understand that entrepreneurs are not people that invested in all these crazy money and stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
I'll give you an
right.
example. Warren Buffett just invests. That's all he does. That's all he does,
Yep.
right? He invests
Yep.
his money in certain things, and that's all he did. and he played the long game, and now he's one of the world's richest men. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same thing with Bill Gates. All he did was technology, and from technology he made millions. He was a he
Mhm.
made millions and billions of dollars. He made all his friends billions of dollars. You know,
Yeah.
and that's all he did. You know what I'm saying? And now he became an investor, an entrepreneur, and stuff like that in vaccinations.
Mhm.
But we're not gonna go through that. We're not gonna go
No,
through those conspiracy
no,
theories and stuff like
no.
that. But
That's a whole
but yeah.
day's worth of talking.
Oh yeah, of course, man. But yeah, like we yeah, I just want people to understand that entrepreneurs are just a little bit more than what people may perceive them to be. And once you're in it
Yeah.
and you understand it, you know that it yes, you're gonna be taking risks. Yes, you're gonna be investing in yourself. But I would rather, if I can invest 8 hours a day, 7 days, I mean 5 days a week, right? 40
Yeah.
hours a week, right? I can invest that into somebody else's dream. Why can I invest it, do that and more in my own dream? That's what an
100%.
entrepreneur is. That's an entrepreneur
Yep.
to me. You know.
No, that was perfect. That was perfect. I wouldn't have said that any differently because that is
Hmm.
exactly the path that I mean, that was great. I love it. Great. Good job.
Hmm.
And then the last thing was, this is a random one. I was just like, I'm gonna change it up this time. Okay,
Okay.
so last question. After we
Okay.
finish here, and if you were to find $10 million laying down on the ground, what would you do
Okay.
with it?
Okay. So me. Okay. So I'll give you two versions of this. So
Okay.
me prior to COVID, what would I've done? I would have probably paid off my house
Mm-hmm.
and moved and bought another house and saved my money in the bank and live off the interest. Right. That
Okay.
would have probably
Yep.
what I've done. Right. Today, if I uh would have found $10 million on the ground, I probably would have still paid off my house. I would have moved out of this house, rented this house out, and then I would have lived somewhere in like a condo or something like that, and just invest into real estate and focus on my podcast and travel and see get as many celebrity guests as I can while I build up my brand. And
Mm-hmm.
my dream would be to get to a place where I can be on the level of a Joe Rogan or
Yeah.
or
Hell yeah.
or you know the Joe Buttons of the world and
Yeah.
the Noriegas and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's money in the podcast stuff. It's just that it's a grind. You know what I mean? And you got to grind.
100%.
It's something that I like because it's not pretty. It's not something that, because like
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
everyone wants to do a podcast now. Everybody wants to do
I
it, right?
know.
But it's
Yes.
like, are you really investing in the time to do this? Are you really investing in your brand
Yes.
and your craft? Are you really
Mhm.
investing into making yourself better? Because the thing about it is that every time, like for instance, if you're going on here and you're talking and you're just talking about a whole bunch of gibberish and you're not a personality and you don't command ears, you're gonna be your words and what you're
Right.
talking about are gonna fall on deaf ears. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not gonna be something that's gonna work out for you. You're gonna get frustrated. You're gonna get tired. Obviously, I'm already frustrated. You
Yeah.
know why? Because I've been trying to launch this stuff for the last 3 months. But guess what? I want to do it a way so that once I do it, everything just flows. So I'm
Yeah.
more. It kind of hurts a little bit, but I know that I'm a bit of a stickler and a perfectionist when it comes to what I'm doing. So I
Yeah.
definitely wanted to create use my podcast to become an entrepreneur. So if I'm able to do YouTube, I'm making money off of YouTube. Then I'm able
Mhm.
to do a merch and stuff like that, I'm making money from merch, and then I'm making money obviously through the podcast sonically, because through Anchor and all these other sites you get matched up with paid ads and paid sponsorships and stuff like that. That's what
Yeah.
leads to that. So if I'm able to make 10,000 a month doing podcasting, which is feasible,
Yeah.
which is doable, right?
100%.
It's
100%.
not something. 10 grand a month is 120 a year. That's not some outlandish number, because I know people that
It's not.
work.
No.
I know people that work and make that money. You know what I'm saying? So
100%.
my whole thing is to to use my prior knowledge and my what I've done to get to this point and create a podcast and help others do it. You know what I mean? I know I was having
Yeah.
conversation with you and me and you were and I was giving you some ideas of how to do things and get certain materials and
Yeah.
what'll help
Like,
you
yeah.
best do your podcast and stuff like that. And if I can
Mhm.
make a course like that, right? and and
Yeah.
and and do it, and even if I do it for free, or if I do a book, or if I do a course that's inexpensive and stuff like that, I feel like people will gravitate to it because I'm just an everyday
Yeah.
guy, and if I can do it, you can do it too. You know?
100%. No, I think that's great. I think you definitely are on the right path. I can feel it. I can just it's just
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I can tell from your energy you are just you got like you got it going on. You're like, "Man, this is what's up. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing." I love it. I love it so much. It's great.
Most
Yeah.
definitely.
I can totally see us. It's so funny that when you said Joe Rogan, I was like, hell yeah. I was like, that was my like as soon as I listened to him and I was like, this dude makes like how much like millions of dollars for one episode. I'm like, yep, that's gonna be me one day. I'm doing it.
Hmm.
you know? So
Yeah,
but all right,
but
yeah, so
look how far Joe Rogan has come, right? Joe
yeah,
Rogan was just
exactly.
started as the guy from Fear Factor,
Yes.
and doing boxing and
yeah,
wrestling and stuff like that.
exactly.
And now he's the number one podcaster in the world. You know?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. His yeah, it's so cool. But yeah, I don't have anything else for you. And I really,
All right.
really appreciate you coming on here. I think this was a great episode. I'm super excited to this is probably gonna take me a little bit longer to edit, but it's all
It's all
right.
good. It's all good.
Yes, yes. So thank you so, so much.
Hmm.
And I look forward to, more episodes to come. So
No, definitely.
yeah.
When I launch the podcast and stuff like that, and I start doing sonically, I'm definitely want you to come on as a guest and have a conversation about just a lot of different things. Your
Yeah.
views on certain issues in our country and stuff like that. I think it'll
Yeah.
be good to have your perspective on it and to see where your head is at. And yeah, I would
100%.
definitely love to continue to collaborate and work together and help each other grow.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you so much and
Thank
you have an
you.
awesome day and I will talk to you soon.
All right, thank you, Katie. I appreciate it. Have
Okay.
a good one.
Yeah, you too.